Hello there, this is Alana Tuckey. I'm the lead faculty for Math 133 at Jackson Community College. And I'm going to be making a series of videos here that are essentially lectures over Chapter 1. Well, I'm actually going to lecture over many chapters, but this is Chapter 1. So yay for you. Now, Chapter 1 is a particularly dry chapter, I'm sorry to say, because it's full of definitions and lots of reading. So I'm sorry, but you have to slug through it. On the plus side, you can pause me at any time and rewind. Okay, so let's start with section 1.1, namely the intro to the practice of statistics, which is just going to be a barrage of definitions. All right, so the first definition, statistics, I'll let you read that on its own, but essentially what the definition is saying is, look, we want to understand how the world works, and it's not enough just to observe it and see it passing by, but we want to collect information on it and then organize that information and then present it to others and kind of make inferences. So, for example, you want to know how people watch TV. Well, then you have to gather information about how people watch TV. You have to summarize it into tables and graphs and such. And what's more, you want to number, how old are people? How many hours are they watching? What time are they watching? How many programs do they watch? That kind of thing. And then you analyze that information, namely you take it and you move one step further and say, okay, if people watch this show for this period of time, then they'll watch the next show 80% of the time, and the next show after that 60% of the time. So if you have a top one hit, then it kind of filters off and that kind of thing. And then you can make inferences like advertisers should want to advertise at this show, that kind of thing. All right. Then explain the process of statistics. So the entire group that you want to study is the population. And an individual is a person or object that is a member of that population being studied, and a sample is a subset of the population that is being studied. For example, let's think about TV for just a second. I don't know why I've got TV on the brain. So the entire group, when advertisers want to know what TV people are watching, they're interested in all of America, for example. But they don't question all of America. What they do is they get individual people and say, hey, what TV shows do you watch? And then they collect a sample of those individuals. So they'll grab 1,000 different people. That makes the sample. Because you can't get the whole population. You're not going to go to every single person in America and find out what TV shows they watch. You'll get a sample of individuals instead, if that makes sense. So let's read this one. A drug manufacturer is interested in the proportion of persons who have hypertension, aka high blood pressure, whose condition can be controlled by a new drug the company has developed. A study involving 5,000 individuals with hypertension is recorded, and it is found that 80% of the individuals are able to control their hypertension with the drug. All right, so what's the population? Well, they're interested in the proportion of persons who have hypertension, whose condition can be controlled. So they're not interested in just everybody in America. They're interested in all the people with hypertension. You could say all the people in America. You could say all the people, technically I'm an American making this, but if I lived in Britain, then it might be all the people in Britain. Who knows? All right, an individual. All right, so the individual people they looked at were individual people with hypertension, aka elevated blood pressure, and the sample is the 5,000 individual people with hypertension that were part of the study, right? That they actually gave drugs to or whatever. All right. Okay, next. A statistic is a numerical summary of the sample. And I like to remember that S for statistic goes with S for sample, see? And descriptive statistics, where we're going to spend a lot of our time in chapters 1 through 4, is basically just summarizing and organizing, finding what you did, making a pie chart, making a graph, then finding things like average, standard deviation, those kinds of things. Inferential, which we'll deal with in later chapters, is when you take what you found, like let's say they find that people are able to control it, 80% of the individuals in the sample. So you infer from there, hey, this is a good drug, maybe we should put this on the market. That's an inference you're making. And the parameter is a numerical summary of the population, which I will have to talk about in the next video because I'm out of time. All right, I'll see you then.